So you are drawing one of your favorite artists, right?
One of our favorite artists.
But your favorite, right?
Musical artists, yeah, probably. I mean, you kind of put me on the spot. Who else do I say? The Cranberries?
And Ariana Grande.
And Ariana Grande.
Well, my favorite's David Bowie.
Fair enough.
Hands down.
But if all of those are, we put all those names aside, the best is Taylor Swift.
Yes. Well, for you.
For me.
But right now, there's Swifties all over the world freaking out, right? Mm-hmm. Because somebody's coming at your girl.
Yeah, she didn't get into it, but Kid Rock said some unpleasant things about her. And I keep saying, on this channel, I'm trying my best not to get political. I try. But even the stuff I care about, I was going to draw Taylor Swift today, and then this came out, I was like, oh, I guess it's a little political. But briefly, just a surface level analysis of that is that Kid Rock says that Taylor Swift is only a Democrat so that she can be in Hollywood movies. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I think it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
People aren't hiring a political activist. They're hiring an actress. If she's going to be in any Hollywood movies, it's going to be because of the image that she puts out there, and then also because of her skills.
Yeah, if she's going to be a cat in the movie Cats, it's because of her natural feline qualities.
Well, and also her singing qualities.
Oh, that's right.
That's a musical, so they clearly went out of their way to find several musicians to get in on this.
Yeah.
So she wasn't the only one, and I'm sure that they weren't all Democrats.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a safe bet. I don't know that many other movies that Taylor Swift has actually been in, come to think of it. I know Valentine's Day, which was more than a decade ago now, close to a decade. And that was a small part. Did you ever see that one?
I don't think so.
Well, young Taylor Swift in that movie. Other than that, upcoming Cats, but I don't know how many movies she's got lined up or what sort of thing she's doing. Yeah. But I know media-wise, the next big thing she's got coming up, her photo is on the cover of Vogue magazine for the September issue. And that is actually what I am drawing here. And I got it from line 1 today. Sometimes I'll start the video and I've already done a sketch or I penciled the whole thing out, or even done some inking and Copic coloring. But this time I got it right from the jump. I knew what I was drawing because I was drawing from the cover of Vogue. Yes. So I knew what I wanted it to look like.
And this isn't the first time that you've drawn Taylor Swift.
And it won't be the last.
You have several drawings of Taylor Swift, but you specifically did do a video where you drew her in the movie Cats. Mm-hmm. And, I have to say, I feel like even though it was a cat, that one looks so much more like her.
Oh, than this one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, immediately you're like, that's Taylor Swift. And it was like, wow. This one is really good, but we're at the beginning stages right now, so you can't really tell who it is.
Yeah, well, how early on can you tell? Once you get the shape of the nose, you're like, oh, that's a Taylor Swift nose for sure.
Maybe, and the lips, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, honestly, the lips. I think, when you think about Taylor Swift's facial features, I think of her lips as being very distinct. You could probably just, cover up this and draw the lips and possibly pick them out of a lineup if it was accurate enough. She's also, this isn't unique to her, but she does tend to do sort of eyeshadow effects.
Okay.
I just got caught up in your eyes. Wow, you look beautiful.
Thanks.
But I don't know that that's so much like her natural eyes. I think that's an effect of the makeup choices she makes. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the hot hairstyle right now.
What's that?
Bangs.
Oh.
Blonde and bangs.
Oh. So Taylor Swift's gone through a lot of different, changes. She's been in the public spotlight for a very long time. How long have you been a fan of Taylor Swift?
I saw the video on MTV for Love Story, right? Where she's kind of like a princess on a horse is sort of the aesthetic. And, I saw the video and I was like, this is a very pretty girl.
Uh-huh. Was she a country music star at that point?
Essentially, Love Story is kind of poppy.
Okay.
And I don't know how many, I think she's got 7 or 8 albums, 8 with Lover coming out this month.
Uh-huh.
But some of the early albums are a lot more country, and I don't know how many of those songs that I've heard.
Yeah.
But once she started bringing in Max Martin to produce, who's the guy who did, all the big Britney Spears singles and NSYNC and all the pop acts in the 90s, they got their number one hits. Most of them got their hits thanks to Max Martin. And I think he's got the record for most number ones. Like, he beat Paul McCartney at a certain point.
That's crazy.
Right. But, Paul McCartney's
amazing.
Well, he's the talent, too. He's the musician. He's the one singing the song.
Right.
Max Martin writes these songs, and then other artists perform them.
So we see you penciling right now. Have you completed this?
Oh, it's done.
It is.
It's absolutely done.
Do we see it go from pencils to colors?
Yeah. Once I get I actually skipped recording a bit of the later inking stages. Like, if I were going to treat this as like a how-to, like how to draw Taylor Swift from a photo reference, I'd give the general advice, of course, of starting with, rough shapes, and give yourself an idea of like how much space do I need for the head, and then mark off lines, the eye line, the nose line, and the lip line, and then how much. It's extremely foreshortened, this hand, so that old trick of like, hey, is your hand bigger than your face? Oh. But it's like her hand here appears larger than her face
because it's closer.
Yeah, because she's pointing out, and actually that reminds me. So it took me I basically got to the end of this drawing, and then I realized that this pose seemed very familiar to me. Do you know what I'm thinking of? Like this pointing out thing.
Like
seemed like
Uncle Sam.
Exactly, it seems like Uncle Sam.
Phew.
And it's like I'm trying to avoid politics at all costs. But do you think that was intentional?
Yeah.
It's kind of an Uncle Sam. Well, what does she want you for?
She wants you to buy her album.
Oh, okay. I want you to buy.
Wanted so that you want to buy my products.
Fair enough. That's a brutal, straight up capitalist take right there.
I guess so.
Yeah. But we're going to anyway, right? We actually...
Well, that's why Kid Rock is picking on her, right? Is because she's doing really well. He's not doing so well. And I feel like a lot of people have looked at her as a target because she is a nice person. She is going to try to not let it faze her, but it clearly does. And so they're trying to get a rise not just out of Taylor Swift fans who are going to immediately run to protect her and defend her honor, but also just to try to get their name out there because, if their name's not already out there, they're trying to look for another name that'll help them. Right.
Now, I can't speak authoritatively to Kid Rock's music sales, but I do know one thing. He never had Max Martin help him with the track.
Oh, really?
Actually, I'm guessing that too.
Okay. Well, maybe try that. Instead of being a bully.
Yeah, if your goal is to sell more albums, then hire Max Martin. Don't be a bully online.
And seriously, Kid Rock, you're probably old enough to be her dad. Like, tone it down.
I would say definitely old enough. No, perhaps or maybe.
I was trying to be nice.
Okay, all right.
I'm not like him.
Okay, you're not an online bully.
No.
Okay, so we moved on. Now I'm drawing the hair, and hair is one of those things to draw that's very fun, but it's also. The trick here, what trips me up is with pencils, like it's very easy with pencils to get different degrees of lightness from the graphite. So you can see here, like I'm just kind of sketching out the hair and I'm making it lighter because she's got this sort of auburn blonde look, right? But then when I move into inks, it becomes more challenging because the ink is just black.
Right.
And unless I get like a set of, I don't have these, but if I got like some grayscale markers, I could sort of, get those effects in ink or watercolor at least. But, that's the challenge. So what do? I try to rely, when I get to the coloring phase, as much as possible on the barley beige and the yellow that I will put in there.
Yeah. Smart. You could also use that blending pen.
Yeah, absolutely. The Copic 00, I think, is the blending one. And so I was happy with, I think I skipped recording a lot of that too because I was so nervous about drawing this foreshortened hand. But that index finger especially, I'm okay. I'm happy with how that came out.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks like a finger pointing at you and not like a stubby, messed up finger.
Yeah, not like claw.
Right. And again, when you're drawing from photo reference, that is a little easier. You just have to draw what you see. but that is a challenge too. And, you don't want to rely too much on the photo.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why didn't you just look at the photo? Why even make the art?
Yeah, and really part of it too is like really looking to what the colors are in there, because like even like when you're looking at somebody, there's shadows that are being cast, but those shadows aren't gray. They're variations of the skin color and grays or whatever your background is. If you're in front of a green screen, maybe you've got some green in your shadow. So if you start to mix those colors into it, you can really start to build the dimension that you're looking for.
Right. So I haven't gotten to that yet, but again, I'm just so much more comfortable in the penciling stage. And a lot of that too is knowing you can erase it. Which you can. I mean, again, this is an advantage of if you work digitally, then you could always Control Z and just undo your last action, whatever that is. But when you're actually doing lines on paper and it's ink, you can undo it, like if you have whiteout, but you're actually just adding another layer on top of that.
Yeah.
So
now you're left-handed. Do you find it very challenging to not smear the ink while you're inking?
Yes, I have to remember. So if you're a southpaw like me, you got to remember to start on the right-hand side. Or if you're going to start on the left side, you got to walk away for a bit and let the ink dry, or you'll smudge it. And I had done that before, and that is, that's embarrassing. I haven't done a live stream yet on YouTube, but I think that would be my greatest fear. If I'm live streaming my art, I would just like make some sort of horrible mistake or spill the ink bottle, which I have done before. Luckily not on any of my art, but on my desk before I have toppled my ink bottle.
Yeah.
Just adds character.
Now, I didn't know a lot of left-handed people growing up because it is pretty rare, right?
Like 10%? 10% maybe?
Wow. And so probably even fewer artists.
I made that number up. I don't know.
I don't know either, but definitely it's not the one that everybody is used to. So growing up, I noticed some of my friends, when they were drawing or writing, who were left-handed, they would have a piece of paper underneath their hand.
Yeah.
Do you do that sometimes?
No, but that's a good idea too. That does depend on the materials you're using. So like say here, I'm using the professional art board, and I believe this is the Bristol board. And so this is just from Blue Line Pro, and it's very, very high quality paper, basically illustration board. So that's going to be, there's a possibility of smudging, but it's not as much as say if you're just drawing graphite or pencil on note paper or something like that. So the higher quality paper you use, you're going to be safer from that kind of smudging. But also using that blotter or bladder, whichever one the blotter of the extra piece of paper on top is a good idea too. It might even be more helpful in the inking phase of drawing something.
Because right now, if you were to smudge, which I would imagine pencil is a little easier to smudge, because the moment you set your hand on it, it still has loose particles on the board a lot. So perhaps that would help more with penciling, but it's easier to get over smudging, right? Because once you use that eraser, you get that clean line back. Yeah,
and again, especially with this artboard, the eraser is not going to rip up too much of the page, where it's like if you want to redraw something on notebook paper and you try to erase it, you're gonna eat through that page fairly quickly, much quicker than this artboard for sure. And another thing for aspiring artists out there, if you just want to get better at drawing, you don't necessarily have to erase something. And what I mean by that is if you draw a picture and you're not entirely happy with it, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing here on the page, where instead of erasing something, I go over it with another line. And then I see, especially in the pencil stage, which of these lines are working maybe, which are not. And I might erase guidelines, or I might find that as I make the lines thicker, they become more satisfying and they look more like, what I'm trying to represent in my art. And I think that was actually a quote. I think I heard that from David Finch, the artist of I believe this was on like an old penciling video he did that was like on a DVD. Where he'd say, okay, like, so instead of just erasing something and drawing it again, draw another line, make it thicker. And that does tend to help in my experience.
So do you like consciously try to make thinner lines then when you first start drawing so that you can go back over it, or you could decide if you want to keep that line?
I do try to make thinner lines at the beginning, and even more than that, like with the guidelines at the beginning, where I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how big is each element of this figure or drawing going to be in relation to every other element of the drawing.
Yeah, because if you go back to the beginning of this video, you'll see that there's like lines going through Taylor's face where he was determining the shape and where the center and where the eyes were going to be. But now you've erased those lines. So those are those guidelines you were talking about?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With these guidelines, do you ever use them to determine where a shadow is going to start on something? Or use that as like to kind of show where perspective is?
I have to be honest, shadows are something that I'm still struggling with quite a bit as an artist. So again, when I'm using reference or I'm looking at a photo, I just try to replicate what I see, but what you suggest would probably be a better idea for me if I had a better idea ahead of time of where shadow is going to fall.
Cool. Maybe you can do that on another video.
Absolutely. I'll try. I'll try my best for sure. But we're getting near the end of our commentary for this one. I think what I'm going to do is let the rest of this drawing run along in real time. So if you want to see how to draw this, you just want to follow along, this is my process for doing so. And if you like this video, what can they do, honey?
Be sure to click like, let us know why you like it in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe so that you can know when we have more videos coming out.
Yeah. And if you're an artist yourself, share your drawings. You can give me a link to something in the comments if you want. And keep drawing. Keep drawing every day. It's the only way to get better. So until next time, guys, keep drawing.